Welcome to the comedy special.
There we go. That's it. I was sitting there trying to think, what can we do? And that's going to look shit on my end, but Dazz fucking nailed it. That's all right. That's all good. Throw me under the bus, why don't you? I'm sure there's heaps of that coming up. Speaking of what's coming up, we got a great lineup today. So the premise of this episode is that it's a comedy special. We're going to talk about different specials that we've seen in the past couple of months, because that's how long it's taken from planning to preparing this. And then just general comedy news or things, opinions, just very stand-up realm oriented. So this is going to be back to basics, where we just have a general premise for what's in the episode, kind of like the previous one, but this will stay within that realm. So with all that being said, you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
Good. All right. We're setting this up for future comedy specials. Like,
yes.
It's kind of lazy in the sense that, all right, specials are coming out every month. There's heaps, so we can revisit this and have the comedy special 2, and we'll watch new specials and basically just do the exact same thing.
Yeah,
it's genius, and it's my idea, but it's genius. So, let's pretend that we only just watched it. The Andrew Schulz special, Infamous.
Oh, yep, Infamous. That was a good special.
That was a very good special. That was hyped up, and it delivered.
Yes, for sure.
Except for the ending. So, I think that the ending was the weakest part.
Yeah.
But I also think that the actual show itself was edited and moved around and shit. And I don't know how common that is in most comedy specials, for them to move shit around. It probably didn't happen like that for what we just watched, like actually watched an hour ago.
Yeah. With
the Ari Shaffir special, which is coming up due. Great fucking special. Very educational. That one was probably all in order, but I think the Schulz one, the set list was swapped around from what actually happened to how the special was performed.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, because they normally film a special like a few times, so they can put the best clips together to make the full special.
Yeah, so it's very common for 2. 3, I think, is harder to do. But I know
it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know Luke Kidgel is filming a special either December or January, and there's 2 shows in Brisbane. So the two seems to be the general rule. 3, I don't know. I haven't heard anyone do 3, but that'd probably be the easiest way to get the most amount of footage.
Yeah.
Some people are forced to do it in 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. So like whatever happens.
Yeah.
But I guess that makes it more authentic.
Yeah.
Any other? Tell me some notes. We both wrote notes, so we could have a more free-flowing conversation. But
yeah,
when we sit there in silence and look at each other, it doesn't happen.
Well, sorry, I thought you had a point. You were going to finish up on it.
Fuck you.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh yeah, Darren, you got the fucking sniffles.
Yeah, sorry. Allergy season.
Yeah. Nah, it's not good. No, actually, I'm going to out Moss. Fuck him. So he's like, oh, yeah, no, I'm feeling sick. You taking medicine? No. Well, fucking take it.
Yeah, so I took meds this morning, and I've still been messed up all day, so it's annoying.
It's all right. The episode I did for my dad was bronchitis.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't matter what the conditions are. Episode every week. Release something every week, and that consistency is actually like what builds up specials themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
yeah, the Schulz special I actually found really hilarious, and I was making notes on it.
Did you watch it more than once?
No, I think I just watched it the one time
with the group.
Yeah. Although, yeah, I think it was just once. I don't think I watched it with Sheldon. Because he was planning to watch it with you.
Yeah, that was the goal. If he hasn't seen it, we can watch it again with more perspective.
Yeah, he'd definitely be down. But yeah, I think I made notes after the fact. I was thinking about it when I went to bed that night.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're thinking about something after it's happened.
So that's why my notes are so sporadic here. Like, it just got like, because I write down notes from the show, from the special, but then I also wrote down my thoughts on some of the bits as well.
That's good. The more detailed, the better.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it. What do you got?
I love the full, like, all the bits on, like, women and like the equality. That was hilarious because he started with like talking about like women in the WNBA and stuff, and like I love that bit when he was just like, "Oh, why do I have to watch women's sports for you?"
It's like, ladies, this is your sport.
Yeah.
You get to do it. It's like, no, the men need to watch it too.
Yeah, that was great, and it just so many great points, but he was just like he made it like so entertaining as well.
So I think Schulz as a comedian makes it a point of his to go for everyone, and that's such a good thing. Like, it's not you can't be homophobic because it's everyone. You can't be transphobic. He's going after everyone. You can't be racist. Everyone. Like, he made most of his crowd work clips are actually like just, I guess, not laughing at the differences, but like he's going for culture and the people that show up to his show, and they know it, and that's what draws the audience in. Yeah. You'll never see anyone like say and be able to drag on, "Oh, Schulz is racist." Yeah, because he's not. There's no hate, and it's against everyone. Yeah, and it's almost like a celebration of people's differences. Yeah, and like cultures and stuff. It's done. It's racism done right. Yeah. It's like, that's how you're supposed to do it. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was good. I liked. It was a good journey that he went through the different topics he was covering. And I like he had this great line where he's like, "This is supposed to be an inspirational talk," like, because he was trying to build up every like women and all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. He still proceeded to roast them for 15 minutes. Like,
yeah, of course.
Oh, that was great. But yeah, just yeah.
So there were 3 topics from my understanding where they were the ones that so for those who don't know, the special itself was meant to be on a streaming service, and they say, "Hey, cut out these jokes and then we'll put it on." And he goes, "Fuck that." And he releases it independently. Hang on, I'm about to fucking burp. I can feel it. There we go. That should be good audio. Yeah, and he goes, "Fuck that. I'm going to re-release it myself." And he decides, he drops the network, to buy it back from the network, he had to take out his life savings. And then after the fact, he releases it on his website, puts out a price, and goes, "Yeah, all right, this is out for 2 weeks, get it while it's hot." And that's exactly what we did. So, yes, we didn't all buy individually with the group giving him the most amount of money. We did say, "Hey, let's have a watch party, let's all watch this." But I think that's part of the business model. So to get more people to watch it and to see his content, he markets it as a limited time event, encourages people to watch it like a pay-per-view, because it kind of is. Yeah. Except when you pay, you get to view it as many times as you want. Yeah. You still have to pay for it. Yeah. And he still released it on YouTube for free after the fact. But at no point did it feel like, oh, he's ripping us off by supporting him and giving him money for the special that we watched. I guess him work hard and put in the effort to, I guess, release. Because it's like, that special is the accumulation of all the YouTube videos, all the touring, all the clubs going through. Like, I think it was maybe in Miami, possibly, like, because he's a New York comic. Yeah. Did he move to Texas? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so either. But like, he's going around and he's like really working like. Sorry, your eyes are so fucking distracting at the moment because they're red as shit.
Yeah, things really took a turn. I don't know. It's just I've been inside all day, so it shouldn't be this bad either.
No, it really shouldn't. That's a problem. Maybe we might have to take a break after to just fix that. It's all right. Schedule that in. Fix it. We'll see how we go. Yeah. But yeah, sorry. Back to Schulz. Sorry, that's just that's your fault. You derailed me. So all this work that he puts in towards the YouTube, the stand-up, releasing clips, doing the podcast, everything that, like, this content wheel, the same thing that I'm doing, but on a much fucking bigger scale. And then that's the special. The special is the result. So you gotta, like, I fucking respect that. Yeah. Yeah. And anyone who respects comedy as well should also, respect that. Regardless of if you like the guy or not, the way he did it is the blueprint. Yeah. Especially in this day and age. That's what I think. that's the point that I want to stick there. Just gave me shit for not having a point before. Yeah. I do have more notes on the actual special itself. So he made, what was it? It was the abortion jokes. Because like at the time, it was Roe v. Wade being overturned, so it was big in the news.
Yep.
It was Michael Jackson jokes, and there was something else. There was a third category. Ted Bundy?
Yes.
Yeah. So those three jokes, like those bits, that's what... I think it was Amazon Prime. I think that's who the streaming service was. He never said it.
Yeah.
But let's roll with it as fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Amazon Prime were the ones that said, "Nah, take this out. It'll be bad PR. Look what happened with Chappelle." Except it was good PR. Everyone was Googling him.
Yeah.
More people watched the specials. All that shit. So terrible marketing decision. But like once he bought the special back, released it himself, kept all that in, and you watch it, and they're good bits. And they were the clips that blew up because he obviously, chopped down the special into very short form videos, released them all over the short form platforms as, I guess, advertising, and it worked. Like that special, he made maybe four times the money that he spent, and that's the number that I heard that he released. There's probably more now. Yeah, so fucking worthwhile investment.
Yeah.
Like the dude nailed it.
Yeah. And he was been kind of pushing this blueprint from the beginning because just before the pandemic started, he was, when he was building up his comedy, he started doing like his own bits on like Instagram and stuff. I think before Reels and stuff became popular.
Yeah, I think he helped, I guess, condition people. He had that thing where it's like turn your phone.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And no one else can say that.
Yeah. He literally, because he built a studio in like his
studio.
Yeah, in
he
his
built
studio.
a studio in his studio.
But just a home like studio kind of looking thing. And he basically was trying to do what like talk shows and late night comedy shows do.
But
independently.
Yeah. In
a shorter form content. And still did that like, was it political satire comedy kind of thing going on? Mm-hmm. Like where they just...
well, he paired up with Netflix to do Schulz Saves America, which is the same thing.
Yeah. So that he leveraged that entire like Instagram thing into a Netflix partnership, like for that show. Yeah. And yeah, that was when I kind of heard of Andrew Schulz at the beginning. He came onto Joe Rogan's podcast.
Joe, saying like Joe's podcast, like you're on like first name basis with that UFC commentator.
Yeah, and then and he was describing like all of this, and I just found him interesting from the podcast. Like he just sounded like a funny, like interesting guy. So I want to check them out on Instagram. I was like, oh yeah, and then I started seeing the clips. I was like, it's pretty good. Which then turned into like following him on.
I think I saw his crowd work clips on YouTube first.
His crowd work as well. Yeah,
like those. That's what to me built up, because I believe he released a crowd work special where it's just an hour of the best bits of all the YouTube videos that he released.
Yeah,
and that in itself was a special, but it wasn't the production that he made himself with all the bits.
Yeah,
so that's good for a YouTube video.
Yeah,
like for sure. Like you sit there, but okay. I recently watched. He did a TED talk or maybe TEDx, but like a short, like a sort of. It was kind of like a TED talk.
Yeah,
and he was discussing his business model, the same way we're doing it, but it's him talking about himself.
Yeah.
So much better. And he found out that people were looking at his YouTube videos, but they wasn't keeping the retention. So now he's got to look at it like a YouTuber. It's like, okay, what keeps people watching again? Like what keeps their attention? So he found releasing longer videos, or not let's say longer, but like 10 minutes of video wasn't cutting it because people were clicking off after 5 minutes because people of short attention span. So he used the analogy of the snooze alarm. So when you wake up, when you go to bed, right, you get 8 hours sleep, 9 hours sleep, 10 hours sleep. Your alarm goes off and you don't want to get up. So you hit snooze on the alarm. 5 more minutes. And that 5 minutes of sleep is the best sleep. It's better than the previous 9, 10, 11 hours. Yeah, especially in comparison. And then if it goes off again and you hit snooze again, now you've got 10 minutes of the best sleep of that time period. So take that model and apply it to the video production that he does. Instead of having the 10, 15 minute videos, he found people were watching an hour or 2 hours of short videos because they kept going, next video, next video, next video. And he just like hooked them in and just kept them coming and coming and coming. So it worked, and it's proven to work. And now all the smart comedians who know how social media works, that's what they're doing, and it's all working for them. And that's kind of how Luke Kidgel blew up as well. Like, he was releasing, when he was touring, he basically doubled the length of his most recent tour just because of TikTok. One clip blew up, and then that led to all the others blowing up as well. And then every single time he released a new one, which was just crowd work from his shows, they all blew up as well. And they just kept getting more and more and more people to the point of like literally doubling. So it works. Yeah. And Schulz is the blueprint.
Yeah.
So fucking good on him. Like, years and years of work figuring it out. And now I get to go, yep, that's how I want to do it. Yeah. Yeah. So fucking good on with him. But now let's go specifically about the special, because we sidetracked a bit, but it's still about Schulz.
Yeah.
So let me switch to where is it? Yeah, so when he does crowd work, right, it seems to me like he not attacks the crowd, kind of. So he attacks the crowd, but then he wins them back because he knows how to. Yeah, that's kind of like a Schulz charm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... Do you have any thoughts about his methods when it comes to crowd work like that?
He is an expert of towing that line, though. Like, he is very good at it. Like, he's probably one of the best comedians at doing it. Because that was, like, most of his comedy.
Yeah.
Is doing those types of jokes and bringing people back. Which is interesting. But he's very, like, what's the word? Like, he's very charming about the whole thing. Like, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah.
Well, it's like, it's part of his stage presence. And and most importantly, he laughs as well, which tells the audience it's okay to laugh. He does have like a weird laugh sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, with like the it's kind of like a seal. I'm not going to try and imitate it, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Fucking come on, this is the podcast. Talk.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's been so many clips that you would have seen from his crowd work where, like it's almost like he just says what people are thinking without any hesitation.
Yeah, but like that's a good mark of someone who, if they want to speak their mind and their job is to speak their mind and make fun of things, then perfect tool to have.
Yeah, but that's the other thing. It's not even like, it's not. Fuck, what's the word? He's not a dick about it in the sense that he's not ignorant, like. Of people's cultures and stuff. Like, he actually knows a fair bit about a lot of the people he's making jokes about.
But that's how he's able to make the jokes.
Yeah. Because it's like, if you just said that and you just come across as ignorant, then you would lose people. Mm-hmm. But he backs it up, and not only that, he gets respected by them because of how much he actually knows of their actual culture and
like, oh shit, I didn't know that this, like, a white Italian guy understood fucking what, like, Iraqi stereotypes. Yeah, because
and that's I think the other thing is, it's like he makes the jokes, but he's also very curious about like the actual people and their cultures. Like he likes to learn about it.
Yeah, and I think that's also a very good human trait to have.
Yeah, as well. For sure. Yeah.
So, no, that's good. Let's explore some more of your notes, because you said you had a lot more, and I know that I've exhausted what I was on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think he made a point about how like women in the WNBA and stuff weren't making money. Meanwhile, there are so many chicks on OnlyFans just drowning in money. I thought that was pretty funny.
It's good because he has those observational sort of jokes. Like, you know it, but you don't think about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. He made like. Even like the Ted Bundy jokes and stuff, like talking about, it's
like his pickup line, like the Ted Bundy pickup line,
that was funny, but it was like so funny because like so many, like all the girls I know watch all of these crime shows and things like that. They just eat it up.
Yeah.
So then we turn around and laugh about the jokes about it, but who's really the monsters?
That's true. Yeah, he does make a point about how it's like almost suspicious about how much they're into crime shows.
Yeah, I think he went with a joke that, and then you wonder why their husband's dead. Like,
Yeah.
But I always say, yeah, it is just research for them.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's just in case. In case of fucking what? Yeah, it's good. See, I never really. Maybe it's a guy thing. Maybe it was a me thing. I never really quite got into crime dramas or crime shows. Like, I never watched Underbelly or Current Affair.
Yeah, well, not a big fan of Current Affair, but
well, who is really?
Yeah, but yeah, no, I never really got into those. Like, even what was it, the TV show on Netflix?
Yeah.
I think I got about probably 5 episodes in, and I just couldn't keep going. Like, I was just like, this is not.
Oh no, I watched the whole thing.
I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't watch it. It was just too much because it's not really what I'm into anyway. So
I think I watched it. I tried to watch it with a different perspective, just to try and understand why so many people liked it. But also the whole time, again, to bring up friend of the show Luke Kidgel, the guy they look identical.
Yeah,
and he even has jokes about looking like Joe from You in his stand-up show. And when he brings it up, like, the crowd fucking loses it because they know, but they don't know that they know. Yeah, so
yeah.
There's even some of our friends when we went to, I think it was December last year when we went to the Comics Lounge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Luke was performing as well, along with a couple others.
Yeah.
He brought it up, and our friend sent it to us, and like, oh yeah, he does, and I was like, yeah, that's the joke. It's
But yeah, no, it was alright, but I wouldn't say it was like one of the best specials I'd ever seen, because for me, like, one of my favorite specials was the Hassan Minaj.
Yes.
Special.
Yeah.
That was for me. I'm biased as well because it was so relatable to me because he's Indian or from Pakistan, whatever you want to. Yeah, but just culturally, it was so relatable, and it was just like when I was just listening to the whole special and the way he
That's
takes
probably why it clicked better with you. Than
yeah,
it did with
for
me.
sure. I'm not surprised, but I just want to kind of share that with you as well, like. Because it was so relatable. Like, a lot of the stuff he described, I'd been through, like, as a kid growing up, all that stuff. Although he probably had a more extreme version of it, going through 9/11 and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Especially being in America, whereas, we're much more multiculturally accepting in Australia, which is hilarious,
Well,
considering our history.
I would say the opposite. But that I'd also say that it actually reinforces your point. So I'd say Australians are less accepting of everyone, but that makes it overall better.
Oh, because we don't target a single demographic.
Yeah, that's right. We target everyone, so it's fair. So yes, there's more discrimination, but it's to everyone.
Right.
Kind of, sort of. It's more friendly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's less us versus you. It's us versus everyone, but we're all stuck on the same island.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
fair enough. But yeah, that was a good special from Hassan Minaj.
What was it called again?
Homecoming King.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, I think, the only special he's put out because he preferred more of that, like, talk show, like late night comedy show, political satire setup. He preferred that kind of structure to a show. And yeah. But yeah, that was great. Well, we watched that a few months ago, I think. And
more than a few months ago. That was in the previous house, not studio.
Yeah, right.
That long ago.
Yeah. And then what else? I think I got you onto the Bert Kreischer's specials, a couple of them.
I think you tried. So here's the thing about Bert. I'm not sold on him. Like, I do listen to the podcasts. I've listened to Bert cast his own one a couple of times.
Yeah.
I listened to it when he shows up on Rogan. I listened to Two Bears, One Cave. Kind of don't like him.
Yeah.
Kind of don't like him. Yeah. No, it's like, look, he was fine, but he's becoming more annoying to me.
Yeah.
Like, if he was to ever come back to Australia, I guess I'd go see his show.
Yeah.
Still. Yeah. But I don't think I'd enjoy it. More like, I don't know. It's like he's to me not mid. Like, okay, I'm not gonna knock on his success. No doubt he's successful. He knows what he's doing. He promotes the fuck out of his shit, and he does a good job doing it. I just don't really like if like is positive. I'm more neutral about him than I like him.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like, to me, Tom Segura, way above.
Yeah.
Much, much fucking better. But before I knew who Tom Segura was, I would put Burt higher up. And then the more I listened to the two of them, I was like, I like Tom more and more and more. And then that got me onto Tom Segura's podcast with his wife, Your Mum's House.
Yeah.
But then I wasn't completely sold on his wife, Christina P.
Yeah.
But then I heard her on Rogan.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, actually, she's pretty good. And now I listen to Your Mum's House more than Two Bears.
Yeah.
And I like it way more. Like the way that they have set up. Everyone praises them. All their friends, all their comedian friends, they go, YMH Life. Like where they show fucked videos for like 10, 15 minutes and it's on pay-per-view. Everyone praises that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a good idea. But it turns out that's not even like the major part of the show. That's just like a small segment at the end.
Yeah.
But I thought that was the show. I think like everyone else who hasn't actually paid to watch it, they just don't know. So I would sooner pay for that than go watch Burr Crush live.
Yeah, I mean that's why we're going to see Tom in January.
Yes, we are. That's good point.
We've got that put in the books.
Yep.
And I think I agree because I got into Burt back in. Like when I first got into comedy, the first comedians I was big fans of was Russell Peters, Canadian Indian comedian. I don't think you've watched any of him because he hasn't really done a lot of.
I've seen a couple of clips here and there.
Yeah,
on TikTok.
but he was much bigger probably because he was like my dad's favorite comedian, so that's how I learned about him. And he did lots of crowd work as well too. Like that was probably most of his show was mostly crowd work, like probably more than Schulz even.
See, that's interesting. Sorry, because I think my dad's favorite comedian at the time, or maybe not even time, maybe even currently, he was Billy O'Connolly. No, nothing really. I'll show you who we're talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but probably in the break because
yeah, that's all good. Because so Russell Peters was the first time I actually learned about what stand-up comedy was. And then I got into Fluffy, like at the end of high school.
Yeah.
And that's when I really got into like stand-up comedy.
See, Fluffy was one of the first. Gabriel Iglesias, for those who don't know. It was probably one of the first people to use the internet to promote his own stand-up.
For sure, yeah.
Along with him and Burt. So I think I saw his bit about Indians robbing a bank before I even knew what stand-up was.
Yeah.
I saw at the same time on Facebook, 2010, I think. We had Burt Kreischer's Machine Bit.
Yeah.
And all I saw was like there was a guy on stage with no shirt talking about his trip to Russia. And I didn't even really know what it was. But then years and years later, after knowing what stand-up is, remembering, oh shit, no, I've seen this guy. I know who he is.
Yeah.
And now it's unfortunate that it's like he's...
Well, that's
lower.
what I was going to say. Was that's also when I saw Burt's Machine Story, and that's when I got into Burt Kreischer. So I was a fan of him when I was like a fan of Fluffy and that type of comedy. But then my humor started getting darker and darker, and that's when I started like listening to like that's when I got into Joe Rogan and started listening to his bits. Bill Burr as well.
So wait, did you see Joe Rogan's podcast first or Joe Rogan's stand-up first?
Stand up. No, actually,
really?
Not even. I saw Joe Rogan in UFC 2 first.
Shit.
Yeah, because I was at Sheldon's place for a dinner once, and we were playing UFC 2, and then he was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fight with Joe Rogan," and then I was just like, I just went over my head. He's like, "Wait, you know who Joe Rogan is, yeah?" And I'm like, "I don't know who that is," and then he's just like, "I'm like, is he an MMA fighter?" He's like, "No," like. And then
so Sheldon was your introduction to that side of comedy?
Yes, yeah. And like literally we stopped playing right then and there, and we put the special on, the first one he had on Netflix. And we watched it right then and there, and I was like, this is amazing. How have I not seen this guy before? And then he's like, not seen him. He's got an entire podcast dating back like over like I think at that point it was been 5 years or something.
Yeah.
It'd been a while. And then from there I got like then I was also into Bill Burr at the time because And then also I got into Anthony Jeselnik.
Mm-hmm.
So at this
But
point,
you introduced to me.
yeah. So at Jimmy Carr as well. So at this point,
Jimmy Carr, that was another one. He was another one where I saw clips of him on stage doing crowd work, roasting fans before I knew what stand up was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that point, my humor went back down a bit of a darker route, and at this point, I still hadn't got to know Tom Segura. Like Tom Segura is a new development for me, but I'm the same as you. Like I'd say I'd put Tom above Bert these days, but I've only watched the first special of Tom's on Netflix. I think I still have like 3 more to go.
I've seen the first 2 that he's done.
Yeah. And it's like, not that I'm not interested in him. It's like I'm spacing them out because I want to save them because I know they're going to be good. Like,
but why save them though? Like, why not just watch them?
Because you got to think of it this way. It's like really great comedy shows and just in general, like TV shows and movies or whatever, don't come often. Like you might have like entire periods of just like, good stuff, but like truly great stuff comes every now and then. So, and I like to, like, I think I've told you, I like to get into like a certain vibe or mood for these things as well.
I think the camera stopped. Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Your alarm's supposed to go off to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, I forgot to put the alarm on.
Are you fucking kidding me? Alright, well, this will be in the fucking edit. Alright, like, take a quick break there, because that was... Oh, fuck, alright. Yeah. We'll leave the audio going. Yeah? Well, I was to get up and...
Yeah, that's all good.
Get up and... Actually, no, I can pause it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how much footage of that was actually lost, but... Sorry, I'll figure out something in the edit what to do. As you were saying...
Righto, so I was... At that period of time, I was getting into some darker humour and comedy. And, yeah, I still hadn't discovered Tom Segura at that point because I was still learning about Anthony Jeselnik, Bill Burr, and his specials.
I'm so glad that you brought up Bill Burr, because that's another special that we can just naturally segue into right now.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, good. So, that just like, you had a mental plan of what to talk, and I just like, whoop, cut out the knees, but it's all good. I did ask you to watch the special ages ago. Like, yeah, I'll get around to it, but I think I like Bill Burr a bit more than you do, because as soon as I see, hey, Bill Burr's got something new.
Which special?
Live at Red Rocks.
No, I listened to that one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Good.
Yeah.
So, he had jokes in there that I heard when we were in, I think, 4th or 5th lockdown, and he was doing a Zoom Australia New Zealand only show. And I heard there were some jokes that he was trying on there, and they went, like, they were funny, but the reaction was worse because it was on Zoom.
Yeah.
Like, I understand trying to adapt to a new medium with Zoom, but that was a shit idea. Like, trying to do stand-up to 1,000 people in a video call.
Yeah.
But if you see what they were looking at, if you imagine a room like this and they had screens like this all the way around, and they were all just divided up in boxes like that so that he could see everyone as well.
Yeah.
Visually, I'm sure it looks good. Not the same.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the same. Like, it shouldn't have done it. But, that being said, good on him for trying something new, because I know he's a much more older, experienced comic, and I know he's probably adapted to a couple of mediums in his time. Mm-hmm. Zoom should have just not happened.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't have.
Because that's what I mean. That's also why I was saying how I haven't watched all the comedy shows yet, because I'm trying to, like, because I try to watch it in the right mood or in the right vibe. Like, that's why I love going to shows, because first of all, it involves actually scheduling and time to, like, you know, if it's on a Friday night or something, I have to organize to get there. You know, I got to get dressed up.
It's a whole event.
It's a whole event. I have to plan the whole thing. Go out there, you know, you have a couple of drinks before, get a bit loose, you know, you might have a dinner with a mate or something beforehand or after, whatever. But you make a full night of it. Like, you put yourself in that mindset going into it, right? And then you're there, you're in the theater, they dim the lights, the atmosphere, the crowd, people around you. You know, it's a very communal thing to do as well. So when I'm at home, I try to replicate that in a way as well. You know, I book it in to my calendar. Like, if I'm just going to watch a comedy special at home, I'll put it in for like 7:30 or 8 p.m., right? I get home from work, I'll, like, you know, try and organize a nice dinner for myself, or like try and replicate it and try and get in that mood. Like I'll set it up because I have like a TV in my bedroom. I'll, try and replicate the lighting and stuff. I'll turn the volume right up so it's like you can hear it and try and get some echo and stuff like that going. But really get into it. And then also I need to be in that mind. Like I can't be distracted by shit as well. Like I'm not like, I don't have my phone next to me. It's like
good call.
Out of the way.
Yeah.
So I'm not distracted by like messages or anything like that. I'm not distracted by anything. Like say I have to get up early in the morning. Like I'm not going to watch a comedy show the night before because like I'm going to be just thinking about, I have to get up in the morning and do this.
You got shit to
like
do,
I'm going to be distracted. Like I need to be in the mindset for it.
Yeah.
And that's what I also mean by why I haven't like gotten into all of them so far. It's because I haven't, if I'm not in the right mood to watch a comedy show, I won't watch it because you can only watch something for the first time once.
Yes,
and
I agree.
And I don't want to, especially with like, when I'm looking forward to like Tom Segura this much, like I want to make sure I'm in the right mindset to do it. Perfect case scenario would be to actually go see him live when he's here and see it in person, which is something I only recently got the opportunity to actually do in the sense that like, once like first because that's like I got into Fluffy at the time, like coming out of high school and stuff, and I just started learning about that, and then I actually had like started working and started being able to afford going to events and stuff, right? When I finally had the money to go start seeing comedy shows, I started looking up who can I come like see in the next few months when they like who's coming down to Melbourne, which is quite rare in and of itself. But I found out I just missed Fluffy and Kevin Hart in like the same like the last 4 months prior to like once I like started looking, I was like, you got to be shitting me. They were here both like during the Christmas period, I think it was. And I missed both of them. Like two of my favorite comedians.
Have
like,
they been back since?
No. I would fucking know if they were.
Shit.
Yeah. And it's just that Melbourne is very difficult to come down to. So first of all, it was just, they have to try and schedule it in somehow, like coming this side of the world. And two, COVID fucked that as well because it's just not economical for them to come to like Australia,
especially planning in advance.
Exactly,
just, like, everything can just be pulled out from under them. Especially
like some of the smaller communities. It is musicians as well. Actually, it's like a big deal, a big task for them to come to here. Like a few musicians have cancelled their plans to come to Melbourne. Period. Like, and a couple of the musicians I follow, some of them just aren't traveling in outside of the US. They're just doing shows and concerts only in
national
tour. Yeah. Because it's just more economical. It's way less of a burden on them. Like, it's just everyone's like the entertainment industry is definitely still recovering.
Well, that's why when Americans come down, it's like, okay, we got to jump at the opportunity to go and see them, even if it costs a lot. So I recently went with Paul to go see Louis CK.
Yeah,
that was I was like, oh, holy shit, like he's coming down now. So I asked the group chat that we've got with the boys, hey, anyone want to come around? And then everyone was like, oh, not really interested in Louis CK. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'll ask Paul. And he's like, yep, he's my favorite. Let's go. And let's straight up go for it. And then the problem with Paul, which I'm going to say is now a public call out, you take too long to fucking respond. So while we were texting back and forth, I managed to sneak it in. He hasn't noticed yet. I changed his nickname in the messaging to Ozpost. And he's got no fucking clue. So
that's funny.
And you know what? I've legitimately ordered packages and messaged him on the same day, and the packages come first.
Oh my god.
And I was like, this cunt does not know how to respond.
Yeah.
But we eventually got Louis CK organized. Do you remember how much we paid for Tom Segura without saying what it was?
I think it was...
Without saying what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. About double that for Louis CK because of the delay.
Jesus.
And I was like, bro, you cost us money. But actually going to see Louis CK live, that was a rare opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
Watching the crowd as well as watching him.
Yeah.
How he handles everything.
And yeah, you saw Tim Dillon as well.
I saw Tim Dillon as well. So I went with just Tom to see in the same theater as well, just like a couple months before. And the special that he released on Netflix, I think last month or the month before, was that show. Yeah. So if you're like how when you saw Jesselnick and you went, oh yeah, then the Netflix special, and it was the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's the same thing. So when you get to the Tim Dillon show, when you set aside a night, when you wine, dine, and fuck yourself, then you can go and watch the Tim Dillon special, because that one's highly recommended. Because I know you don't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I'm not like a huge fan of Tim Dillon like you are. Like,
yeah.
Well, see, probably the way you feel about Burr is probably how I feel about Tim Dillon. Like, I find him funny,
really?
but I don't. No, I'm not saying like they're the same. I'm just saying that I'm not as of a diehard fan. Yeah.
So before the show, the live stand-up show itself, I think I was more of a fan. Watching him live was good, but when he did it, it's a lot. So the way it seems to work, his business model was he works out bits on the podcast. He'll say what comes to mind. He'll rant and rave, and it'll be fantastic. It'll be great, and then he'll refine it and script it and make it part of his act. So a lot of the topics and things that he covered as part of his show, yes, they were great, but in some form or another, Tom and I both found that we heard it before in the podcast.
Yeah.
So to us, it wasn't as a die-hard, laugh out loud funny. Because like when Tom travels around, he'll listen to 4 or 5 podcast episodes in a row of the same person. I'm like, dude, just switch it up. Yeah, like just have alternating episodes of different things. And he goes, no, I missed out on 5 weeks of this. I'm going to listen to 5 weeks of this in a row. Jeez. And I'm like, bro, you're binging.
Yeah.
Just fucking change it up. You'll feel better. And that, I guess, if you listen to someone for 5 hours and then you listen to them in person for an hour, yes, you're only listening to them for an hour and it's in person, but it's still like kind of exhausting.
Yeah.
But still, great performer.
Yeah.
Very American.
Yeah.
Doesn't take much shit. But no, he was good. But saying that your opinion to him is the same as what I have of Bert, I don't know. Almost insulted by that. It's like, nah, he's fucking miles. Bert has high regards for Tim Dillon himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he has him on for a show and he's like, dude, he's so fucking good. Like, Bert's giving Tim Dillon praises and you're like, no, they're at the same level. Fuck you. Now, you made me angry. It's infuriating. Like, almost actually.
Well, you would say the same things about some of the comedians I follow too.
Like who?
Almost all the women. Checkmate.
Yeah, but that's different. That's a bit different.
Because I could say the same thing. Those women are defended by Joe Rogan. Like
okay, all right. So when you're how do you say her surname?
Schlesinger.
Yes. So when she was on the Rogan episode, that her most recent one, to promote her book or a show, whatever she recently did.
I don't think I've listened to that one yet. Because she's been on a few times. Like, she's a pretty recurring comedian.
So I knew her name from your recommendations to me. So I listened to that. I added it to the queue and listened to it on the day. You're smiling, but it's not good news. So,
no, I know. It's because I wouldn't recommend it to you. Like,
no. I still listened to the whole 3 hours, or 3 or 2 hours, however long she was on. But there were points of it where it was just a bad podcast, where it's like her and Joe just like didn't mesh, or like she'd make a joke that just wasn't funny, and it just killed the momentum of conversation.
Yeah.
And it's fine when we do it here.
Yeah.
They're professionals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got the excuse. Them, I don't fuck. Oh yeah, sure, they're human, but.
Well, yeah. I mean, they've got 2 different styles. First of all, the demographic of audience is completely different. Yeah, that's for sure.
Maybe that's a bigger factor than the style, because there are heaps of other people that have different styles to Rogan that show up on there and they just fucking click. Yeah,
because she has a podcast as well, but it's not like even comedy related. It's like,
well, that's bad news for a comedian has a podcast and it's not comedy.
Not in that sense, in the sense that like the way she structured her podcast, it's a question and answer podcast. She gets questions from her fans and she answers them with her co-host while making jokes in between throughout it.
But you wouldn't know because they're not fun. I'm sorry. Nah, I'm just shit on her for no reason. But no, look.
Well, that's also like part of her stick, is she shits on people like that ask the questions, because sometimes they're
oh yeah,
wrong.
no, like okay, cause so a person can be smart, people are stupid. Yeah, that's wisdom.
Yeah, but yeah, so I mean, yeah, it's just. But that's the other thing, is was like I can listen to a podcast a fair bit, and then when I watch a like comedy like shows and sets or whatever, it's completely different, because it's not intertwined at all. Like she's not using her material from her podcast as inspiration for her jokes on stage. Like
it's all separate.
They're separate, yeah.
See,
which
that
keeps
to
it-
me is inefficient. So like you get inspiration from one thing, you refine it and channel it somewhere else.
I disagree because first of all, she's a woman, so her audience is mostly women.
Mm-hmm.
So her podcast is geared towards that because she's getting products and stuff as sponsors.
Mm.
They have to be targeted at the women. So
Okay, that's
you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
whereas her material is not necessarily meant to be targeted directly at women alone. It's trying to be a bit more broader. And then it helps if she set up her podcast in such a way that she's only trying to get a certain demographic of people in. It's very easy for her to advertise to those people.
So I'm
and
curious.
do sponsor segments for them.
I'm curious then how much overlap from the podcast to a stand-up. If it's that different, how many people listen to the podcast and go, "Yep, I want to see you live," and then actually go.
No, for sure they want to see, because the podcast is about discussing other people's experiences, whereas her stand-up is about discussing her experience.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
So it's a very structured very well in two different ways, and it's like people come to the podcast to listen to like just the general audience and their like kind of views, and then the actual like her specials is her, and they come for her. Like that's the thing. She always says it herself. It's like the special. I am the star of the show. Like,
well, it's true.
Yeah.
It's like the name of the show is your own name.
Yeah,
it's part of it.
exactly. So I could see that, like, why that could be a bit jarring on Rogan's podcast, and that's why because they're just mates. Like that's the thing, they're mates. So she comes on like that, like probably how when what'd you call it? Like when Sarah came on, like
Yeah.
it would be like that. Like you guys don't have to see eye to eye on everything, but
No.
you can still sit in a room together and have banter. Like that's what it is generally, and that's from what I've gathered from listening to some of her previous episodes as well. Because I can see how it could be like some of the jokes we'd miss and things like that, because that's kind of what it is. It's like they'll.
I'll see if I can find a specific, because there is an example that I'm thinking of, and it's just bad. Like, you know, when people crop clips out of context.
Yeah.
So it was one of those initially, and it was worse when you get the full context of the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, shit happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to completely discount it, but I'll probably not.
I wouldn't say
Listen.
that's kind of tough as well, because would have been 2 hours episode.
Yeah.
something?
Yeah. It would, yeah.
Like you're never guaranteed a good episode as well. Like
Yeah.
you
Well, see, that's why I try to keep these at an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like within that hour. Like,
Like,
even
yeah.
if you're getting good towards the end, like we film double episodes sometimes, and you can notice when we get to the end of the second hour where it's just
For sure.
declining. Yeah. So it's not even a professional, unprofessional thing. It's just a human thing.
Yeah. But if we circle back to pull everything together, right after when I started looking for comedy shows to go see, I was like, all right, fuck, I just missed two like great comedians that came down. If any comedians from the US in particular come down to Australia or to Melbourne, I have to see them. So, and then like as I was like slowly waiting for like the tours and stuff to come up, that's when I got into Anthony Jeselnik, Lasha Schlesinger, Whitney Cummings, Nikki Glaser.
Actually, we could talk about Whitney Cummings special.
The Can I Touch It?
Yes, that one. yeah. So I didn't know what the Can I Touch It part was a part of.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me. You said just watch it. You'll find out. You'll figure it out. And yeah, I was surprised.
Yeah. But did you know about it before going into watching it? The robot?
Don't think so.
So spoilers ahead for anyone who hasn't watched Whitney Cummings' episode.
Pause this and watch it now. Like,
the thing is, it's been she's released a special since, and she's referenced it many times. She took it onto Joe's podcast as like to hype up the special too. Yeah. So it was a nice surprise at the time, but I'm gonna say it's
out there.
It's out there, yeah.
It's fun.
So for those of you who haven't seen the special, she does a routine for like half the special, and then halfway through the routine, she brings out a sex doll.
Yeah,
that looks exactly like her. No,
I don't think it works exactly.
Not exactly, but it's modeled exactly like her.
It's still a sex doll, but it's modeled after her.
Yeah, so she went through the full process of modeling it
like
after
full 3D scan, so that everything is.
And it's a great like segment, or like what would you call it, like a bit? Or,
yeah,
it's not even a bit. It's a full like story. Like the whole second half of the special is just revolving around this sex doll, and like the whole reason why she got it, and like all the jokes that come with it. But it was great. I freaking loved it. I was like watching that special originally. I was a bit hesitant on it. I was like, this is not as good as I thought it was going to be. But then the sex doll came out and it changed my whole opinion.
So wait, was that the first Whitney Cummings special that you saw?
No, I watched Money Shot first.
Okay.
And then I watched the Can I Touch It?
Yeah.
So yeah.
So how were you introduced to Whitney Cummings and how did you find out about her?
I think I saw her on Joe's podcast.
Yeah.
Like a few of the comedians, well, the rest of the comedians I discovered was from Joe's podcast. Like because he just had his mates, like Ari Shaffir, Tom Segura. Who else did he have? There's one other. Mark Norman as well.
Actually, yeah, I think that's how I kind of found out about him. Yeah.
I only found out because of Joe Rogan's podcast. Because a lot of time when I see fellow comedian or something like that in the description, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll give it a listen. I haven't heard this guy before. Even like I think he's had Annie Lederman and stuff, like a few of them. Joey Diaz would never have listened to him if it wasn't for Sheldon.
Yeah.
And like his recommendation of that.
So yeah, Joey. I think I've seen sets and clips. I don't think I've seen a single Joey Diaz full hour special, but seen hours and hours and hours of podcast content, hours and hours of like sets individually, but not one clear, concise hour.
No, I'm the same because I listened to the first time I heard Joey Diaz was, I think listened to him on the podcast. I then listened to This Is Not Happening, the series from Ari Shaffir, when Joey was on that a few times, telling some amazing stories.
Yes.
But you're right. I don't think he's released a full special.
Ever?
Don't think so.
Really?
It'd be a hard sell because you know what type of content. Like if Schulz was having trouble releasing a special for his comments, like Joey's has a hard time. Sometimes like theaters are telling him he's too dirty. Like,
but Joey Diaz has that pull to fill the theater many times over.
Yeah.
So why would they say, hey, no business?
No, they tell him to dial it back, or they tell him he's too vulgar and stuff. Like, no, because Joe said this from like talking about him like on the podcast and stuff too. Like, there's a few like, and he has to like almost beg them. He's like, he will like get the crowd going like so hard. Like he always kills. Like, but it's just his style of comedy. I don't, and it's just the other thing is I think because Joey he's good on the podcast, but I think Joe said it many times. He doesn't have the same drive as some of the other comedians. Like.
In stand-up or just in general?
In stand-up.
Right, okay. Like, but the podcast, because it's conversational and he thrives in conversation.
Exactly, yeah.
That's probably why. Well, see, I found the same sort of thing with Theo Von. Like, podcast appearances are fucking so much better than the special that I watched. He released it. That was going to be part of the second lineup, but because of how we structured the comedy special when this releases and all that shit, it wasn't part of the original lineup. Can't remember what it's called. Theo Von Normal People or Regular People.
Yeah.
So I sat there and watched that. What he was saying I thought was funny, but I didn't really find myself laughing.
I think didn't Sheldon say something similar too, I think.
Yeah.
I think he said that after watching it he realised that Theo Von was just good for podcasts.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's okay.
That's his type of humour, yeah.
People have their things. Like he did a podcast with Nikki Glaser and he's like the way his brain works is it's very interesting. He's like, he sits there and he's like, oh, nah, dude, I was not whale watching. I was looking for my keys.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you see it, and you see Nikki's just like fucking bursts out laughing because to her, and most stand-up comedians, I believe, like you can predict where other comedians are going because you know how you're supposed to think, and he completely subverts that.
Yeah.
Just by how he thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like... It's good, and that's what you want for a podcast if it's conversation, and you get to go, hey, let's just talk shit for X amount of hours. You don't want to know where it's going. Like, that makes for the best conversation. So, yeah, I'd happily listen to him or Joey Diaz on any podcast. Maybe even there's probably a podcast where they're both on talking to each other somewhere.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
There is? Good. All right, well, that's going to be on the list. I'll listen to it.
I think it's Joey's podcast. He's got him on.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a look at that because that's going to be good shit.
Yeah.
It's all right. I can see the time too. Quick camera break and then finish up because I think. Did we talk much about Bill Burr?
No, yet, no.
No, okay. So Bill Burr, Ari Shaffir. Quickly touch on. I know that the timer says an hour there, but I think we can squeeze it in and then another 20 minutes, and then that's it. We're good?
Yep.
All right, good. Quick break, and we'll be right back. Back from the break, and we're going to get straight back into it. So, Bill Burr special. We started to talk about it, where I was saying how I saw some of the jokes on Zoom before.
Yeah.
So, have you seen his video about, like, his Philadelphia rant?
Yeah, of course I've seen the Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's fucking stand-up comedy history. Now, if I was to find anyone who had never seen Bill Burr before, didn't understand who he was or what he did, I would show people that video to be like, okay, look, this is what he used to be like. Because since he's tamed from getting married and going to therapy, and maybe he's a worse comic for it, but he's probably a better human for it. Which is it's ironic, not ironic. It's unfortunate that bettering yourself as a human makes you maybe not a worse comedian, but maybe less funny. Yeah, which actually maybe by definition makes you a worse comedian. But I'm still a solid Bill Burr fan
for sure. Yeah,
I just like his older shit much better.
Yeah, of course. It was also a different time back then. Like, I'm thinking back to one of his first specials. Like, some of the shit he used to say about women would get him like cancelled today. Like.
Some of the shit he says about women today will get him cancelled today.
But it was just like, he made a whole special about it. Like,
which one was that? Was that?
I can't remember what it was called, but it was the one where he was wearing the purple shirt. I think it was
purple shirt. Okay, so
it was
when I started getting into performing stand-up comedy. I started watching more specials, and I watched the black and white one with my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad was laughing along with it as well. I'd never seen him laugh like that before.
Yeah.
But the purple shirt.
That was like one of the very first ones, I think.
Yes, because he had hair.
Yeah, he had his hair. Yeah.
He had his hair.
Yeah.
I think that was the one before, yeah. That was a good one. Yeah. I think Liam and I watched that one back at the old house. And the general consensus was that his older stuff... Like, I think Bill Burr might be Liam's favourite, actually.
Yeah.
Quite possibly. Because we went and we watched maybe 3 hours worth of talk show appearances and interviews and shit, and he doesn't give a fuck. It's great. Like, it's refreshing to see
I don't think it's
a guy like that.
Yeah, I don't think that special's on Netflix anymore. I think I just saw it on YouTube, I think. Like,
I didn't know Netflix took down specials. I thought they just kept them there.
I don't know, it's not, I can't find it.
Really? Well, let's take a momentum break for the audio medium to just, I guess, find that special. Because if they did remove it, then that's really fucking surprising.
That, or it wasn't like owned by Netflix, it was, maybe some other company owned it and they've just moved it somewhere else. Because I think all the newer ones are owned by Netflix.
No, you're right. It's gone.
Because the oldest one I can see was... I'm sorry, the black and white one?
I'm sorry you feel that way. Yeah, that's the one I watched with my dad.
I think that's the oldest one on Netflix. But there was... Yeah, that one before when he had hair. Yeah. 2014, yeah. That other one would have been 2012 or something.
No, it's just something happening with the tablet. No, we're good. Sorry, I thought the camera cut out there.
But yeah, I think definitely his older stuff was better. But
it doesn't discount.
It doesn't discount, because I feel like a lot of comedians, their comedy evolves with them as they age and grow up. Mm-hmm. Which is pretty fair, because I think that's what Bert also said for his comedy specials. Like, when people asked, because they wanted more machine story stuff.
Well, no, but he's still done the machine story for 10 years.
Yeah, he's done it. But what he's trying to say is that was a different time in his life. Like, he's not that same guy anymore as well. Like,
so why the fuck does he still act like it?
He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
As in,
doesn't
like...
he?
What?
Well, he's the same kind of... Like... Yes, he's got a family now, but he's still like a party animal. Like, that's his character type.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm trying to say is that's not his entire special. He mixes it in.
Yeah. Okay, because I know he talks a lot about like family stories.
Yeah,
and shit
he does
in his
that too.
news.
Yeah, but yeah, like back then, that was his entire like special, like his whole like personality as a comedian, and he was saying like, I did that time, like that period, that was who I was, and that's everything I did was like that. But he's like, now I'm just different. I'm not the same I wasn't like.
He's not the same machine that he used to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
He's still the machine, but he's
like
not the same machine.
Yeah. Like there's not going to be a new machine story. Like it's going to be. He's just been saying the same machine story for ages. Like
yeah.
But he's trying to. But that's the thing. A lot of people became fans of him because of the machine story alone, and I think he's trying to. It's like the same thing that people experience today, where they have like a viral clip, and they keep chasing that viral like moment rather. So
you think he's trying to get out of that?
He is. Yeah, he was trying to get out of being known as a machine guy and just being known for his comedy.
Is he releasing a movie called The Machine?
Money,
he's doing the same thing. Yeah. He says one thing and does the other.
So yeah, but yeah, no, I can see what you're saying. Like as well. Yeah,
it's okay. It's alright. We're enough shitting on Burr. Like I still sit there and listen to him. It's just not as.
Yeah, no, but I understand. I haven't been listening to him as much either. Well, it depends what you count as listening. Like because I watched all the specials, but I don't really follow him much on the podcast and things like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's separate from the podcast, because I feel like having the podcast in and of itself is a different medium and a different experience to listening to someone's specials and comedy and things like that. Like as you said, like I said as well, Elijah Schlesinger, her podcast is completely different to how other comedians structure their podcast. Even Your Mum's House, like that's also structured in a certain way that's not.
It's more like interview.
Yeah, but it's got its own like style. Like it's its own thing. Like it doesn't need to. Like if you didn't ever watch their like comedy specials, Christina or Tom's, like you could still watch Your Mum's House and be a fan.
And that's good. That's actually a very good design. That's the kind of design that I want to follow as well.
Exactly,
so if you watch YouTube videos that I make, you don't have to watch any of the other stuff. I'll still put references and ties to it, as does anyone who wants to cross-promote things. But same with the podcast. I'll still reference shit outside, but the podcast is the podcast on its own. Same with stand-up stuff. I've tried incorporating... I tried the Tim Dillon method once of like trying to do bits that we were figuring out on the podcast on stage, and it's just not that good yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to be able to enjoy the things separately, but also not have it take away if you only know them as separate.
Yeah.
But combining them, making everything better, that's what I want to achieve. So
yeah, for sure.
That's the good. Schulz succeeds at that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he talks shit on his podcast with his boys and Akash Singh, who I've heard terrible things about. So like I've heard people shit on him a lot.
Yeah.
I thought he's fine, and then when I hear the criticisms, it kind of affects everything else afterwards.
Yeah,
it's like when you think someone's good, you hear one bad thing, and it just like permanently stains the record.
Yeah,
yeah. So if you
that was like Chris, what's his name?
D'Elia.
Chris D'Elia. Yeah.
But really? Yeah. So
I heard some of the stuff about him, and then it just put me off from seeing any of his things. Like.
So I haven't seen anything since his cancellation.
Yeah.
He's still kicking around. I just think he's less popular now. You know what? Actually, I'm going to add one of his specials to the list. I'm going to see what he's all about.
Yeah.
I've seen clips here and there. I've seen podcast appearances here and there.
Did you watch the Brendan Shaw special?
No, that should be next.
Yeah, we should watch it.
We should watch that next, actually,
yeah. Like, if Logan Paul is shitting on you for how bad your comedy is, we gotta watch it. Like,
okay. So the next lineup, we'll figure it out right now. So the Brendan Shaw special.
Yep. That's a short one, even. Like,
yeah.
It's like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah. That's not a good. That's not a special length. That's a YouTube video.
Yeah.
All right. Brendan Shaw. There was one. We should watch the Tim Dillon special.
Yep. Yeah.
If you sacrifice if Tim Dillon's as bad as Burt Kreischer, you watch a Tim Dillon special, I'll watch a Burt Kreischer special, and we'll bring him back to the table. We'll review and see how it goes.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah. I'm sacrificing. Oh, I'm not sacrificing. I'm framing it as a sacrifice.
Yeah,
for Bert,
but I'm not asking you to watch Bert Kreischer either. Like,
no, but I'm asking
because I asked you to watch Hassan Minaj. That's when I'm asking you to watch something.
And
You're
you sat there. I said, yeah, we'll watch it. I'll sit
Yeah.
down and we'll do it, and we watched it together. Yeah.
Like,
Moss was with us too, actually.
I don't have that same kind of drive to make you watch Bert Kreischer. Like, as long as you, like, if you watch The Machine, so that would be my selling point to get. That's the other thing. Is like,
I think I might watch the rest.
I just want you to.
One.
If I normally, when I'm recommending comedy shows to watch, a lot of times if I'm recommending a new comedian, it's like I just want to recommend one to get you interested in them enough that you would go explore on your own. Like, I'm not gonna make you. Yeah. I'm not gonna be like, oh, they've got like 5 amazing specials. You got to watch all of them. I'm gonna be like, okay, here's a good one that might get you into it. You might enjoy their type of comedy. See where you go with it, kind of thing.
If we do another comedy special, we'll do a 3-person podcast, and I reckon I'll bring Paul in.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
And we'll do 2, and I reckon he'll say, hey, let's watch a Louis C.K. special as well. Throw one of those in, and I think that's good. 4 specials.
I do want to watch Lucy because I listened to the whole podcast with him and Tom.
Yep.
And that was great. Yeah. I was like, oh no, I got to watch something from Louis now. Yeah. Because that was a great podcast.
So when he did a circuit, he did the Tim Dillon show, he did the Joe Rogan show, he did the one you just mentioned that I've just completely blanked on somehow.
Your Mum's House.
Yep. That's it. Because when they do it, when they're all friends, obviously they'll just like do a lap, like do a circuit of each other's podcasts.
Yeah.
And fantastic promotion, like genius move, and they just keep recycling that because it's not even a tight effort. You're just still making new content. It's just the same formula.
Exactly. Yeah. Did you? I got you because that Whitney Cummings special I recommended to you was like a 3rd or 4th special on Netflix or something. So it was like in the middle.
That's the only one I've watched.
Yeah, which is fine. Like that was the one I wanted you to watch, but I don't think I got you to watch Nikki Glaser.
I think it was on the list, but I just never got around.
But I thinking about it now, it's like I don't think you would enjoy her as much. Like she only has one special on Netflix.
I'll still and she has watch it.
A lot of her specials were like those 20-minute sets, which is like part of like a series of comedy shows as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like. That's a lot of her comedy on Netflix. Like otherwise, you got to listen to her on podcasts and stuff. So, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone.
That's all right.
But like, she's definitely a good one to introduce to like the girls in our group. Mm-hmm. They'd like her
if they sat down and listened.
Yeah. Eliza. Yeah. Again, that's a tough sell for you. I wouldn't force you to do any.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's my mindset about it. But
there's one that we did agree on completely, and that was Ari Shaffir's Jew.
Yes, yeah, that was good.
That one, I think, because we're both fans of, because he's part of like Rogan's inner circle.
Yeah,
and we're both like hardcore into Rogan shit. So we see Ari Shaffir has a new special. It's called Jew, and we're like, fuck yeah, let's go watch that. And the whole thing is about Jews. Yeah, like it's as the name says. And
I still haven't watched anything from Christina P.
That's what we were going to talk about tonight. Actually, we were going to watch the Christina P special, and we chose Ari instead.
Yeah.
So that's the list. That's the lineup. When I review back, when I'm watching for clips or doing the editing, I'll write down exactly what we've discussed. There's like 5 in there.
There was. I think I asked you to watch Ronnie Cheng as well. I don't know if you watched Asian Comedian Destroys America.
Yes, I did actually watch that one.
That was good. I haven't watched the new one he released either. And then obviously we've watched all of Dave Chappelle, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah.
But Ari's fucking good. Like we both watched him on This Is Not Happening.
Yeah, I liked him on that.
Yeah. So I didn't know who he was when I saw him on that. I just saw that he was the host. I was like, let's see what the host has to say.
I knew him because of Sober Octobers.
Right.
I was listening to all the Sober Octobers, and this guy Ari was like in everything, and like they talked about how well they knew him and stuff, and then after the drugging of Burr and all that whole series as well. Yeah. Then also then Sheldon got me into Joey Diaz, and This Is Not Happening, and then that's what I realized. But then I didn't realize that he was the one that like pitched the entire show.
Yeah, it's his show.
It's his show. Yeah, and it was fantastic.
Yeah,
and I think he kind of had the idea of putting Joey in that show from the beginning. And I think because they talked about it with Joe, and Joe's mentioned it before, and he was like, "Yeah, we got to get Joey onto the show because he'd be fantastic," and he was. And there's a few great comedians on that series as well. Like if you might not have ever heard of them.
Well, because it's like 116 episodes or something like that, so you can just scroll through and you go, "Yep, this interests me. This doesn't. This one. I recognize this name. This topic sounds good."
Yep.
So the whole format of the show as well is a very good way to introduce new comedians to I guess explore and find new favorites. I'm pretty set on who I'll gravitate towards to for now. But if I find someone new, I'll still like research all
Yeah.
their shit. Yeah. Especially some people closer to my level as well. If I find someone who's like 3-4 years in and has less content or less popularity than someone like Ari Shaffir,
Yep.
but they still release content like that, I'll still go and look
Yeah.
and find all their shit.
Yeah.
See all their bits. But Ari himself, just... Mate, I know so much about Jews now.
Yeah, that was. I didn't realize how detailed he was going to get into it, but yeah.
Now there was something I told you to bring back up on the show. That game.
Oh, right. He was describing this game.
Yeah. What was it called?
It was a Get It Jew.
Get It Jew. So what's the game? What's the premise of the game?
So,
Get It Jew.
Ari was describing this game he plays with his other Jewish friends.
Yeah.
And he's like, do not play this. You will definitely get cancelled. And he proceeds to describe the game. And he's like, basically, you get a bunch of pennies or loose change. And you freaking just send it. Like, and just yell, Get It Jew. And then see how many people go try and pick up the coins. Like...
Yeah. Now, after we watch this, you turn to me, and what do you say?
Yeah, I look at Josh, and I think to myself, holy shit, I used to do this when I was in, like, grade 1 in primary school. Like over 2 decades ago. Like, almost. Like,
You're like 6 years old. And
Get
It, Jew.
This was an actual thing that I used to do as a, like, just in primary school. Like, just starting out. Like, me and my mates, it wasn't me that started, but my mate showed it to me, and then I was like, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Just throwing metal at people.
Yeah, you go to the canteen or tuck shop or whatever you want to call it, but yeah, you buy your things, you get all this change, and you can't be fucked, like, saving it, so you just fucking send it, and then and freaking all these, like, kids will go, like, climbing over each other to
yeah.
And we actually said, Get It, Jews, like, and we'd be like, who's a Jew? Like, and it was a whole thing, like, but no offense to the Jews, but it was more to the white people.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's a... I'm not gonna lie, I've gone for the loose change before, see a coin on the floor. Dude, so people used to glue coins to the floor at the school.
Oh my god, yeah.
And that, like, the first one got me,
Yeah.
and then I stuck around for, like, half an hour watching other people try and get it, and it was just fun. Like, I wasn't even the one that orchestrated it, but I got to observe.
This one kid would come back with a chisel and just
try it, and then unsuccessfully get it. Like it still wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like super glue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fuck, man, that's a good idea.
There was another joke actually I wanted to share with you from that special when Ari was describing Adam and Eve.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this. I saw it on TikTok. This joke. You know those joke battles where people like they say jokes and try not to laugh.
Yes.
So I got it from there, but one of the guys was like, "Oh, do you want to know how I know Adam and Eve were white?
Yeah,
because Adam shed a rib."
Adam shed a rib. What's the
joke? Is black people don't share ribs, like.
All right.
Yeah, I said it to Sheldon when we were watching the Jew special,
mm-hmm.
And he fucking died. Like,
yeah, he got it straight away. Yeah.
He got it straight away. Like no explanation. As soon as I said Adam shared a rib, he's just like he just lost it. He's like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Nah, that's good, dude. Even like there was a point. Oh, fuck, where were we? We were laughing the most at. I think it was near the end of the first hour.
Yep. Was that the chicken or the?
It was the chicken. It was the chicken.
It was funny because
we shouldn't spoil what the actual thing was, but it was to do with the chicken.
It was funny. I was trying to hold it together because yesterday, prior to us watching the special today, Josh brought up this chicken. He brought up a chicken story, and it was directly related to Ari's story, but he didn't know that.
What did I say?
You said the same story, like. I don't want to spoil it, but you described almost the same thing. Not the whole like spirituality part, but where someone grabs a chicken, and you said it, and I was just like, bro, this guy's seeing into the future or some shit. Like,
okay. I can't even see into the past. I don't remember this at all.
Seriously, because
no
you brought it up. You brought up a fucking chicken story where someone grabs a chicken, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, we're gonna watch Drew tomorrow. Like,
genuinely, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, but yeah, it happened because I made a mental note of it. I was like...
Alright, off camera then, so we don't spoil what the joke is. You have to tell me what that was, because I genuinely, no idea. I've completely goldfished.
Yeah. But I almost brought it up during the special. I was like, nah, I'll tell him after. I don't want to interrupt the flow.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Surprising me with my own anecdotes.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was a fucking hilarious bit on the Jew special.
Here I am sitting thinking that my brain and memory is getting better from just like doing more smart things, and now you're just like, hey, remember this thing that you said yesterday? No. Fuck. Yeah, I'm really curious now. I don't even know what it could be.
You brought it up.
I know, that's the
brought up
problem.
a chicken story. I don't remember the full thing, to be honest, because I was so gobsmacked by this whole thing. I was thinking about the Jew special and that chicken story, like, because that was fucking hilarious. It was just so visual. Like,
all right, tell me after. One last topic to close it off, and then we got shit to do. So, notorious Australian comedian and journalist friendlyjordies was attempted assassinated. This will be old news. He might even get successfully assassinated by the time this comes out.
Yeah,
like, it's possible. But from my understanding, someone tried to burn down his house, and he wasn't home. And for those who don't know, in the past year or so, he's had not a feud, but fuck. Do you remember when Moss and I were trying to explain the creator clash, and then we were missing so many details, and then you had to come back onto the show and then try. So Tom is going to do the exact same thing, because he followed everything about friendlyjordies.
Because I don't know much about this. I just saw a headline, but I never actually looked into it. Like,
so basically, he was having massive back and forth trying to expose John Barilaro, who was the New South Wales deputy.
Yeah,
and basically it resulted in cease and desists, suing, courts, verdicts, all that shit. The anti-terrorism unit came in and they arrested his editor. There was a whole fucking thing. There was video released with police brutality.
I can see why Tom was following this entire situation.
Oh yeah. Dude, like even I was watching the YouTube videos, and I have little to no interest from like that side of the of like political comedian YouTube. But I guarantee
situation, you that you found out about this from your comedian side, and Tom found this out from the political side.
Yes, yeah, because from the comedian side, they were like, "Hey, this is like attacks on free speech and and censorship." But on Tom's side, it was like, "Hey, no, this is like, this is a political drama."
Yeah,
yeah. So we shared that interest there, and I guess it's carrying on. He can't even say that he suspects that it's John Barilaro or anyone like that. Like, if you watch, there's a 9 News interview with him, and he's like, "Yep, I've got a list of people who I think it could have been, but I'm not allowed to say." And that was him saying it without saying it, who he thinks it is.
Yeah.
And even his lawyer was like, "Oh, yeah, he let it slip that it was the second time in a week, and this is only the time that they're reporting it, and it's still like just ongoing."
Yeah.
So, fuck, I don't know. Maybe he will get assassinated, but that'll be podcast content. Terrible, but content. Any thoughts on free speech?
We don't have free speech here. I don't know if you realize this. Like, there's nothing that actually guarantees us to have free speech in Australia.
Yeah, there's no
there's no
Second Amendment. The First Amendment is free speech?
Nah, I can't remember which one was which, but
who knows?
Whatever. But yeah, like, so I don't. Yeah, I find it, I don't know what we actually do have, like what we're allowed to actually say and not say. Like, but yeah, it's definitely.
Well, I'm sure I'll find a way to get to the point where I'll test it, and we'll see.
It's good. You and Tom can figure it out for sure.
Oh yeah, that might be a fun conversation, figuring out the free speech laws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Australia, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know, and then comparing it overseas, and that might just even be a good research topic for just human knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
No, I distinctly remember back in high school, we were looking at civil rights and the civil rights movement in America, and our history teacher, who you might remember, I was discussing it with him, and he told me about it. He's like, "Did you know we don't actually have anything that protects free speech in Australia? Like, he was saying, like, there isn't actually like a free speech right or anything like that. Like, the government can choose to censor certain topics or views or whatever. Like, if they wanted to, like, they could. Like,
that is a bit concerning, actually.
Yeah, and it's right now it's basically just on a good faith basis. Like, Like what we accept as free speech,
Yeah.
they honor. But if they really wanted to, if they wanted to control certain things,
And that is why you should never trust the government.
no, and that is why there are certain people that literally move to America because they want that right. Like there are famous reporters and stuff, and even some reporters I follow that they specifically move from
Who
like
the fuck follows reporters?
well, I'm not going to follow the big news stations. I'm going to follow the people that actually,
Like the actual proper journalists.
yeah, the ones that actually.
Well, in that case, yeah, I thought you were like, fucking, I followed Tracy Grimshaw on Instagram. Or some
No,
shit.
no. Like actually following the journalists and some of their articles
Yeah.
and stuff they talk about. This one reporter who was on Joe's podcast, she literally was describing how she left, I think it was Malaysia or Singapore, to live in America because she wanted free speech because she wasn't guaranteed that back home, and she was a journalist. Like,
Well, you need that, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, okay, well then that was a smart move.
yeah. Like she doesn't care about citizenship. She only cared about getting free speech. Like that's it. We take it for granted almost in some countries that that's not something you, have. Like, yeah.
No, okay, good. Well, that's a good place to fucking
Yeah.
close off. We don't have free speech. That's it.
Someone get back to us.
Yeah, that's it. There's not much audience interaction, really. Actually, in the most recent episode, there was a guy who messaged, like, hey, message this, he's trying to, like, sell psychedelics. I'll show you the comments after. Yeah, there's, like, some salesman in my comments section of the previous episode.
You sure it's not a bot?
I'll show you.
Yeah,
so I'll show you after. But for now, that's it. The podcast is done. Thanks for tuning in. Go home. You got better things to do.